I'll go
pool,
back to
wave
the,
pool, and yoga. What? Mermen do yoga too. If a merman can find their perfect stay, anyone can. Booking.com, booking.yeah.
Transferring credits into WGU was a great experience. I went to 6 or 7 other universities, and WGU just said, here, send it here, and we'll take care of it. It was seamless, and I knocked out almost 3 years worth of credits in about 14 months.
Learn more.
Came off my trip. I wanted to take this off of my head. I don't know how it was stuff. That's why. And I was really and it was so you saw the way it was. So you're right. That thing there, that scissors thing, something else. Yeah. That was exhausting. Probably not.
Good morning. And welcome to Unity of Palmyra, and welcome to spring. Spring has finally sprung, and we're going to hold on to that. You know, usually I like winter because I kind of like hunkering down, and I have hermit-like tendencies, you know. But this winter, I'm done now. I'm ready for some spring, and I'm ready to get out to my garden and dig in the dirt. So, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here this morning, whether you are here in the sanctuary or online. We're delighted that you've joined us. Unity of Palmyra is an open and affirming community. We love you exactly as you are in all of your magnificent glory, and I'm very happy that you're here this morning. So let's take a minute to really be here, not just in your seat or in your home, but truly all in, body, mind, and spirit. We're turning off anything that could distract us for the next hour or so. We're letting go of anything that's been left undone. Trust me, it'll still be there when we're done. We are giving ourselves the sweetest gift of being fully present. For it's in this full presence that joy is found. We're not focused on the past or the future. We're just here now, embracing and celebrating everything that this time has to offer us. And an expression of that celebration is gratitude. And it is our practice to enter into this experience together with gratitude. So we say thank you. Thank you for this time to come apart for a while, to remember the truth of who we are, that we are spiritual beings having an incredibly interesting human experience. It's been said that we live in interesting times can be received as a blessing or a curse. I guess we get to decide. We say thank you for whatever safe space you're in this morning. Again, whether here in the room with us or joining us online, we're so happy that you're here. And finally, we say thank you for this beloved community so dedicated to making a difference in the world and to being that difference by being the change that we wish to see. And so it is. Amen. Now please stand. Together, may the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to hurt, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, divine Spirit. And so we're going to be looking at, in our ongoing series on meeting Jesus again for the first time, we're going to be looking at the wisdom of Sophia today. And Sophia is the personification of the divine feminine. So we thought we would just jump in with both feet and sing Gifts of the Goddess this morning. So.
These are the gifts of the goddess, love, joy, and peace. Gifts of the goddess, are you ready to receive? Gifts of the goddess, love, joy, and peace. Gifts of the goddess, are you ready to receive? Love, are you ready? Joy, are you ready? Peace, are you ready? Are you ready to receive? These are the gifts of the goddess, love, joy, and peace. Gifts of the goddess, are you ready to receive? Gifts of the goddess, love, joy, and peace. Gifts of the goddess, are you ready to receive? Compassion, I am ready. Forgiveness, I am ready. Laughter, I am ready. I am ready to receive. These are the gifts of the goddess, love, joy, and peace. Gifts of the goddess, are you ready to receive? Gifts of the goddess, love, joy, and peace. Gifts of the goddess, are you ready to receive? Passion, I am ready. Success, I am ready. Abundance, I am ready. I am ready to receive. These are the gifts of the goddess, love, joy, and peace. Gifts of the goddess, are you ready to receive? Gifts of the goddess, love, joy, and peace. Gifts of the goddess, are you ready to receive?
Let's share together in our vision as we celebrate awakened hearts, empowered lives, and a world transformed through love. And our mission, wherever we are and wherever we go, we create an open, safe, and caring community, calling all to embrace their oneness with the divine through prayer, education, practice, and service. And one of the ways we practice is to honor wherever you are on your hugging journey. So if you want to hug, this tells us we're allowed to bring it on in. If you're more comfortable with the handshake, we will honor that. And if you want us to leave you completely alone, we totally understand, and we will respect whatever bubble you create about yourself. Have a wonderful time.
place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Okay, everybody sing along. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome.
I think you were very generous this morning, Judy, with the call to seat. That's what we're going to start calling it, the call to take your seat. So we're actually going to talk more about this at the HUG meeting, but I was having a conversation with a colleague earlier this week, and I was just reminded of how respectful you all are during hugs and handshakes, right? That you really pay attention. Does this person want a hug or a handshake, or do they want to be left alone? And that's very respectful and very well done. So give yourselves a round of applause. And we'll talk about that. All right, some announcements. Our prayer chaplains today are Charles Lee, who is holding space for us from home, and Jeff McFarland, who will also be doing Joys and Concerns this morning. Today is a HUG meeting Sunday, so the HUG just stands for whatever we want it to stand for. At this point, we're just making stuff up. But it's just a casual monthly meeting where we get together during fellowship and following fellowship just to have a conversation and keep the lines of communication going. Everyone is invited, and because it's HUG Sunday, that means it is also Theme Fellowship Sunday. And I think this is International Foods Theme Day. Did I get that right? Okay, great. So join us downstairs for International Foods and Fellowship and the HUG meeting. We have two Holy Week events coming up. On Thursday, April 2nd, is our very sweet Maundy Thursday hand washing and communion service, which Gwendolyn leads, and it's super wonderful. Please do sign up and come for that. And then on Good Friday, we're having our annual Tenebrae service. So a Tenebrae service is, of course, we don't do it the traditional way. Okay, no, I know, you're shocked. It's a service where, as we go through the service, the lights are gradually turned off until we're in darkness. And of course, that's to represent the death of Jesus of Nazareth. And the readings are traditionally about the suffering of Jesus that day. But the way that we do it is we bring into it the suffering that Jesus came to alleviate. And so it has a whole different energy to it. We still end in darkness, but it's a sweet darkness before the light kind of energy. So I do invite you to come to that. It's Friday the 3rd at 7 p.m. And then we're going to go into the tomb on Saturday. And Sunday we are going to have an absolutely joy-filled Easter. So if you are local and you can make it in person, I invite you to do that. It's going to be a little different. Miss Janie and I are having some fun. So hopefully you can join us on that Easter. Did you just roll your eyes at me? I didn't
actually. I did not.
Oh, didn't you? Okay, I just thought maybe that was one of.
I raised my eyebrows and smiled.
Oh, you did. Okay. That's Janie's version of an eye roll, just so you know. Okay. So yeah, we're having a lot of fun. Are you rehearsing today?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so if
And-
you are part of the Easter choir, talk to Janie. She's in charge of,
Yeah.
I'm in charge of the joy, she's in charge of the music.
Well, since we're having a relatively brief hug meeting today, I
yeah.
think if we can go ahead and participate in the hug meeting and then practice after, that would be great.
That'd be fine, yep. We'll try to keep it short, Miss Sherry. All right, any other announcements? We have a lot to talk about at the hug meeting, which we'll talk really, really fast, so you can get to rehearsal, so I'll save any other announcements until then. And Miss Linda, would you like to read the Daily Word?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Today's word is wholeness. Wholeness is the unshakable, eternal truth of me. It is comforting to remember no matter what may happen to me in the world, I am always whole. Even during times of illness or insufficiency, my true nature is of divine wholeness. Worldly situations will always be in a state of flux, changing and shifting in ways I cannot control. I do what I can to tend to my health and other material needs, but I do not worry over things I cannot control. Instead, I rely upon prayer and other spiritual practices to claim my wholeness. This is the enduring truth of who I am, whole and complete regardless of any outside circumstance or appearance. How liberating it is to know that I am secure in God and complete at all times, spiritually perfect and infinitely blessed. And from Colossians 2, verse 9 to 10, for in him the whole fullness of deity dwells bodily, and you have come to fullness in him, who is the head of every ruler and authority.
I am home, my family is here. I feel loved by the ones I hold so dear. And when my family needs me, I promise to be there. And when I need my family, I'm lifted up in prayer.
I'm good. So, as I do the prayers and concerns, if you'd like to close your eyes, please feel free to do so. If you want to keep them open, that's fine too.
Jeff, hold the mic a little bit closer. Hold the mic closer.
So as I was considering what I would address for the concerns, I came back to what we've been looking at with spiral dynamics. We've got a world that seems to be in absolute chaos as we approach the shift to a higher level of thinking, a more complex way of thinking. And those who have a more traditional view are resisting. And at times that resistance feels mean, nasty, but they truly feel threatened. And so we need to find a way of rebalancing this world so that everyone is heard and everyone is seen. In the meantime, the stress of the chaos can feel overwhelming at times. And then you add on top of that the challenges of our daily lives, health concerns, taking care of ourselves, taking care of others. It feels like a lot. We talk a lot about prayer, meditation, other practices. But I'd like to talk to you about another one this morning. The beauty of little joys. And we get to experience these little joys when we're willing to slow down and be still and just notice what's going on around us. Yesterday I noticed that my tree in back had these beautiful little buds on them. As I was coming out of the supermarket, I noticed an elderly lady walking out. Of course, I'm not elderly, but I saw this lady coming out, and she gave me this wonderful, brief little smile. And it would have been easy just to ignore it, but I chose to see it, and I chose to appreciate it. And there are all these wonderful little opportunities in each day if we're willing to be still at times and just notice. They change my day when I experience them. But I believe that they also have a greater purpose, a greater effect. They remind me of hope. In the midst of all this chaos and all this hurt and pain of our struggle, they remind me of what is. It also reminds me that I am what is, because I couldn't see the beauty. I couldn't see the amazing qualities of these things if they weren't in me as well. So I encourage you during this week, in the bustle of your everyday life, to slow down and just notice and appreciate and feel grateful. Namaste.
The God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste. The God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste. You are beautiful. You are whole. You are beautiful. You are whole. There's no need to hurry. Your soul has grown divine. You're so divine. Don't deny your healing power. Make the world a little better. Divine, oh, you're sublime. See the light above your shoulders. Let it rise. Divine feminine. Trust your intuition. You're in the fifth dimension. Your heart is your only guide. Nurture your garden. Live in the present. The secrets of life lie deep inside you. Divine, oh, you're divine. Ignite your healing power. Make the world a whole lot better. Divine, oh, you're sublime. See the light above your shoulders. Now the time for divine feminine.
That was beautiful. So welcome back to Meeting Jesus Again for the first time. As I said earlier, this is the portion of Borg's exploration of what he calls the pre-Easter Jesus, or the historical Jesus. And he calls this Jesus the wisdom of God. And basically that entire chapter is about Sophia, who is a feminine manifestation of the divine. So I want to read just a couple of excerpts from the book. And then I decided I want to do a deeper dive into, since that is our theme for the year, into Jesus' relationships with the women in his life and how very different they were from the typical relationship with women in the society of his time. So let's hear from Marcus Borg first, in all fairness. So these are just some excerpts from the chapter. This chapter was a little more esoteric than the rest of the book, and so I'm going to share that, and then I do want to kind of bring it home to what did Jesus do? Okay. So he calls this Sophia Become Flesh. The early layers of the movements, and this is the early Christian movement, this is the first century, what Charles Fillmore, one of our co-founders, would have called first century Christianity. He said the early layers of the movement's developing traditions portray Jesus not only as a teacher of wisdom, but also as intimately related to, quote, the wisdom of God. Central voices in the New Testament, or the Christian scriptures, Matthew, Luke, Paul, and John. It almost sounds like the Beatles, doesn't it? Sorry, I just went there. Speak of this relationship in various ways, imaging Jesus as the emissary, the child, and the incarnation of the wisdom of God. He says the most familiar Christology to people both within and outside of the church is one that images Jesus' relation to God as son of the Father. So familiar is it that it's easy to think of it as the formative or definitive Christology. But this had not yet happened in the early New Testament period. Again, we're back to, we added a whole bunch of stuff in the centuries after Jesus passed. There was as yet no official Christology. Developing alongside of the early Christian movement's embryonic son/father Christology was also the embryonic wisdom Christology that ultimately saw Jesus as the embodiment or incarnation of the wisdom of God. And he's going to get more into this, but whenever we see the name Sophia in either the Hebrew scriptures or the Christian scriptures, there's always a little caveat, Sophia, the wisdom of God. So then he gets into the Jewish tradition around wisdom. He says, the ingredients of wisdom Christology come from the Jewish tradition. There, wisdom has a number of meanings. To the books of wisdom, the collective teachings of sages, the sayings of the wise. And then there's a third meaning as well, and this is when we get to Sophia. Wisdom is often personified in female form as the wisdom woman, and it has become common to name this personification Sophia. What are we to make of the remarkable role of Sophia in the wisdom literature of Israel? In these books, Sophia is closely associated with God, and at times becomes indistinguishable from God in terms of the functions and qualities ascribed to her, so that one may speak of a, quote, functional equivalency between Sophia and God. Thus, the language about Sophia is not simply a personification of wisdom in female form, but a personification of God in female form. Sophia is a female image for God, a lens through which divine reality is imaged as a woman. There's also some interesting, in the creation stories, there are some passages that imply, and I thought this was kind of funny, that the idea of the universe was God's, the male personification of the divine, but Sophia is the one that actually made it happen. I'm just saying, right? Everything old is new again. So, when we get into the synoptic gospels, which is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, it says there are a number of passages in these gospels that associate Jesus with the figure of Sophia. Speaking her words, he is the envoy or emissary of Sophia. He speaks of himself as a child of Sophia. So these gospels portray Jesus not only as a wisdom teacher, but one intimately related to Sophia. Now here's what's interesting. So when I was looking for an image to put in the weekly email of Sophia, and if you Google that, you get all sorts of stuff. And I saw several books that said, Sophia, the hidden wife of Jesus. Yeah, no, not the hidden wife of Jesus. Sophia was not a person, just like God is not a person. Sophia was the name assigned to the feminine aspect of wisdom and of God. But, we like to make stuff up. So if you see a book that says Sophia was the hidden wife of Jesus, come to me, I'll give you a better one to read. So then we get to Paul. Wisdom is also a central category for the Apostle Paul. He speaks of Jesus as the Sophia of God. I mean, that's pretty clear. He also spoke explicitly of Christ as the wisdom of God. Now notice he's differentiating between Jesus, the man, and Christ, which is the energy of the Christ. The language here used about Christ is, of course, language used about Sophia in the Jewish tradition because Paul was... Thank you. It not only describes Jesus in the language of divine wisdom, but in effect, it identifies Jesus with wisdom. And then we get to the Gospel of John. Now, because of the work of the Jesus Seminar and particularly Marcus Borg and John Dominic Crossan, historical Jesus scholars are pretty sure that most of what is ascribed to Jesus in the book of John, he didn't actually say. It doesn't mean that the messages in John are not valid or are not important. These were stories that were meant to portray a truth or some wisdom. So when we get to John, he says, scholars have long noted the close relationship between what John says about the logos, which is usually translated as word is logos, as in the beginning was the word, and what is said about Sophia in the Jewish tradition. Sophia was present with God from the beginning, active in creation, and is present in the creative world. And as the pronouns became more and more feminine, associated with wisdom, he concluded that Jesus is the incarnation of divine Sophia, Sophia become flesh. So, finally, what he calls Christological images. He says, our exploration of the role of Sophia as wisdom in the Jewish tradition and in the New Testament discloses a number of things. It points to the impossibility of literalizing Christological language. The multiplicity of images for speaking of Jesus' relationship to God as Logos, Sophia, Son, etc., should make it clear that none of them is to be taken literally. It is not the case that Jesus is literally the Son of God, although he can be also spoken of metaphorically, such as the Sophia of God. Rather, both are metaphors. What they have in common is that they point to Jesus as one whose relationship to God, to the divine, was so intimate and deep that he could be spoken of as the Son of Abba, the Father, and the Son of Wisdom, Sophia. When Son of God is seen instead as one metaphor among several, it opens up the possibility of a much richer understanding of the significance of Jesus as experienced and expressed in the early Christian movement. The issue is no longer believing that Jesus was literally the Son of God, but appreciating the richness of meaning suggested by the multiplicity of Christological images. He was the Son, yes, but also the incarnation of the Word, which was also the wisdom of God. He was the Son of God, the Logos of God, and the Sophia of God. So, back to the power of metaphor. So that's kind of the esoteric, uber academic, Christological explanation of Sophia, right? And just be grateful I didn't share more from the chapter with you, or your brains would be exploding. What I want to talk about, which to me is just as if not more important, was the example that Jesus set around the feminine, around the women, and with the women in his life. So I did some research, and again, right? But I'm going to just summarize a couple of things. And some of these you probably already know, and hopefully some of them might help you to see some of the stories from the Christian scriptures differently. So Jesus' interactions with women are an important element in the theological debate about Christianity and women. Women are prominent in the story of Jesus. So we're going to get a little academic again. According to New Testament scholar Frank Stagg and classicist Evelyn Stagg, the synoptic gospels of the canonical New Testament contain a relatively high number of references to women. Bible scholar Gilbert, cannot pronounce his last name, agrees, especially by comparison with literary works of the same epoch or the same era. Neither the Staggs nor the name I can't pronounce find any recorded instance where Jesus disgraces, belittles, reproaches, or stereotypes a woman. Not there. These writers claim that the examples of the manner of Jesus are instructive for inferring his attitudes toward women and show repeatedly how he liberated and affirmed women. Starr writes that all the founders of religions and religious sects, Jesus stands alone as the one who did not discriminate in some way against women. By word or deed, he never encouraged the disparagement of a woman. Karen King concludes, based on the account of Jesus' interaction with the Syro-Phoenician woman, we're going to talk about her in a minute, that, this is interesting, an unnamed Gentile woman taught Jesus that the ministry of God is not limited to particular groups and persons, but belong to all who have faith. A woman taught him that, right? Yes, I know. I'm not even worried about the lightning striking me at this point. I've given it up. So, just a quick overview of women as disciples, and then I do want to talk about the woman from Syrophoenicia because it's a very interesting story. So the Gospels of the New Testament were written toward the last quarter of the first century AD, and they often mention Jesus speaking to women publicly and openly against the social norms of the time. So you have to understand, in Judaism at that time, and actually you can't, this is not a knock on Judaism by any means, it's in any patriarchal society of that time. You were not allowed to talk to a woman. A man was not allowed to talk to a woman in public. You were even discouraged from talking to your wife in public. Women were not supposed to leave their homes unless they had to do womanly duties, like shopping or laundry. And then most of the time they had to be accompanied by a man. Women had very, very little freedom in the culture, not just because it was the Jewish culture at the time, but because it was a patriarchal culture. And this is where I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. This is where we see another example. Remember, throughout this series, I've been saying that Jesus taught a subversive message. He was called the subversive sage because his teachings went against the purity laws of his time and the conventional wisdom of his time. And Borg has made the observation several times throughout all of his works, actually, that when the subversive is subverted, it becomes the conventional again. And that's what happened with the way Jesus treated women. The way he treated women was subversive because it was respectful. He treated them as equals. He treated them as people who had a brain and had something they could actually teach him. Totally subversive at the time. As part of the tradition at the time, a man could divorce his wife by handing her a slip of paper saying, I don't want to be married to you anymore. Right? Women couldn't do that. Women could not divorce their husbands. The husband had to initiate it. And in one of Jesus' teachings, he kind of slammed that whole law and basically said, first of all, try to work it out, right? But if you can't, the woman should also have the option to leave the marriage. Totally subversive. The fact that he talked to women in public, the fact that he ate meals with women, totally subversive. Many of those practices continued into the first century after the death of Jesus. And then they began to be subverted by the patriarchal culture of their time. And over time, the more they became subverted, the more they became conventional. Even to now, in modern times, we have certain denominations of Christianity where women can't be preachers, women can't speak. I've actually had said, well, you can't be a minister, you're a woman. I'm right here, okay? I'm just saying, it's possible, right? Because the subversive was subverted until it became conventional again. And the same thing is happening over and over and over again in our history. It's happening now in our country. Jesus fought against the dominion system of the Roman Empire. He stood for the sick and the poor and the disenfranchised, like women of his day, and he railed against the dominion, the domination, energy, and culture of the Roman Empire, which celebrated the wealthy, the powerful, men, everybody that Jesus didn't celebrate. And here we are again. So let's get back to women. Jesus had many women as disciples. They're not really named a lot, although you can kind of weed them out. So there were Mary Magdalene, who, by the way, was not a prostitute. Joanna, Susanna, and Salome were with him throughout most of his ministry. And he was talking, when he would talk to groups of people, he would refer to them as his brothers and sisters. He would refer to his disciples as his brothers and sisters. So I think we can assume that there were women there, since he was talking about his brothers and his sisters. So I want to talk about the woman from Syrophoenicia, because this woman had guts. So she was a Gentile, and she was a Gentile whose little daughter was possessed by an impure spirit. We have no idea what that means. And this woman came to Jesus during one of his, when he was talking and when he was doing on his healing ministry, and she fell at his feet and she begged him to heal her daughter. And this is one of the few times in the Gospels that I don't know if he was having a bad day or if he just needed to get somewhere, but he was a little dismissive of her. Not so much because she was a woman, but because she was a Gentile. All right? And this was still a point in his ministry where he was really just trying to clean up Judaism, like he wasn't creating Christianity. Well, he never did, but he was just trying to clean up Judaism. And here was this Gentile woman throwing herself at his feet. And he was just a little snippy with her. And this is when she schooled him and said, "Why does it matter what I believe? Aren't you here to help us all? Why does it matter that I'm a Gentile? Can't you also heal my daughter and be a model for me?" And apparently, Jesus said, "Whoa, she's right." And he said it in front of his disciples. He modeled for them the importance of allowing himself to be schooled, not just by a woman, but by a Gentile woman. And he focuses, I just want to read this part. He focuses on her faith, which Jesus later described as great. Wanting her to state her understanding of his ministry, he drew out her convictions and provided an opportunity to teach a lesson of racial inclusiveness to his, quote, intolerant disciples. She expressed her faith that Gentiles have a share in salvation, in confessing that his beingness transcended the human segregation of Jew, Gentile, man, or woman. And it said that she was his first convert in the Gentile world. So then there was a woman at the well in Samaria. Again, this is, not only did he approach a woman in public and talk to her at the well, he asked her for a drink from her bucket coming out of the well. Now, she was a Samaritan. Remember from the Good Samaritan story, they were unclean, right? They may have been Jewish, but they were not the right Jewish. They were not the good Jewish. They were not the clean Jewish. So the fact that he talked to her in a public square, the fact that he asked if he could have a drink from her bucket, and the fact, see, not only was she Jewish and a Samaritan, but she had had 5 former husbands and was now living with the man who was not her husband. I want to hear a gasp. There you go. Thank you. So this is also, I forget where I read this someplace, that the author referred to the disciples as the 12 dolts because, if you had Jesus teaching you this stuff, wouldn't you be like getting it, right? No. Here's what it says. The disciples showed their astonishment upon their return to the well. They were marveling that he was talking with a woman. A man in the Jewish world did not normally talk with a woman in public, not even his own wife. And for a rabbi, which teacher, right, Jesus, to discuss theology with a woman was even more unconventional. Yet Jesus did not defer to a woman simply because he was a woman. He did not hesitate to ask of the woman that she let him drink from her vessel, but he also did not hesitate to offer her a drink of another kind from a different Jewish bucket, introducing her to a different way to be Jewish. So again, he's trying to teach the disciples through his experience. And then we get to Mary and Martha. I love the Mary and Martha story, but I'm kind of going into it a little bit deeper with this one, because it's not just that Martha was annoyed with Mary because Mary was sitting at the feet of Jesus learning from him, right? I think the story also exposes that Martha was fulfilling the traditional female role of making the meal, making sure the table was set, doing all the stuff that was expected of the women. And Mary was not. Mary said, "The heck with that. I got Jesus right here, man. I want to learn something." And she sat at his feet. And the implication was, too, that it wasn't just Jesus lecturing Mary. It's that they were having a conversation. Very subversive for the time. And so I love this, so Martha gets to the point where she finally complains to Jesus, and she said, she came to him and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has asked me to do the work all by myself? You need to tell her to help me." Right? You need to tell her to fulfill the traditional role of the woman. Got it? Jesus gently rebuked Martha for being so distracted and troubled over many things when only one thing was necessary. "Martha, Martha," the Lord answered, you are worried and upset about many things, but only one thing is needed. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. So, not just a story about someone complaining to Jesus, but a story about Jesus encouraging the non-traditional role of the woman. So, Jesus admired and respected women. So I read a piece that said, well, if Jesus admired and respected women so much, how come all 12 disciples were men? Well, the victor writes the story, right? So many of the Gospels that were written, the books that were written immediately following Jesus' death, were not included in the final official scriptures. What was included were the books that supported the patriarchy, that supported the culture of their time. Now, we have found other books, and some of them are legit. Some of them, they're a little suspect. Again, back to Sophia was not Jesus's mistress, okay? That never happened. But there's enough evidence that women had a huge role in the early Christian movement. Most of the worship services were held in homes. Who managed the homes? Women. Many of those services were led by women. Women were the ones who mostly continued the healing ministries, the healing ministry that Jesus had initiated. There's evidence that women financially supported Jesus' ministry. I mean, he was an itinerant preacher, right? He didn't hold a job for, well, depending on which gospel you read, 1 year or 3. He was traveling around teaching and healing. How do you think he ate? Where did he sleep? There's universal agreement that it was the women in the ministry who took care of those needs, financially I mean, I'm making sure he always had a place to lay his head. Women were critical to the ministry and the message of Jesus. So, yes, we're celebrating the divine wisdom of Sophia. And we're celebrating the divine feminine. But what Jesus, I think, was trying to get through to us was it's not either or. It's not either we're masculine or feminine. It's not whether God is masculine or feminine. It's not whether we live in a patriarchal society or a matriarchal society. The power is in integration. It was so perfect that the daily word this morning was wholeness. Because when we can fully embody and integrate the gifts of the masculine and the gifts of the feminine, that's when we are in our full wholeness. And that's what the man, Jesus of Nazareth, so beautifully demonstrated for us. So I invite us to focus on that and not all the stuff we made up after that, and learn from that example. Learn that we can integrate and incorporate both the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and in that, find our wholeness. Amen? Let's take that into meditation.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are the face of God.
As we breathe in those beautiful words, I invite you to feel the breath moving through you. Feel it move through every cell and muscle and nerve and bone. Recognizing the life that the breath brings. And as we continue to breathe, we direct the breath toward any part of our body that may be tense or sore or painful. And we allow the breath and our intention to do its healing work. Softening, strengthening, loving every cell into perfect demonstration. And with your next breath, I invite you to breathe in to your heart space. And if it helps you to focus, place your hand over your heart and concentrate Focus your breath and your energy. Beam it into that space. We recognize the heart as the center of love and compassion and wisdom. And these are qualities that we usually attribute to the feminine. The heart is also the home of courage and strength and resolve. And these are qualities we usually attribute to the masculine. What we are invited to do through both the teaching and the actions of Jesus is to recognize that all of these qualities are both. That when we have fully integrated the wisdom, the love, the compassion, the courage, the strength, the resolve that is found right here in our heart, when we see them all as equally important, equally worthy of our respect, then we are truly following the example of the man Jesus and fully embodying the Christ consciousness that he came to embody. When we integrate what we have labeled feminine and what we have labeled masculine and see it all as good, then we are truly whole. We are truly spiritual beings having a human experience. Loving, appreciating, and embodying both states of being.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are the face of God.
So this is the part of our service where we don't pass the basket anymore. We just express our incredible gratitude for your ongoing generosity, for your gifts of your time, your talent, your treasure, and your food for fellowship. Ken says sometimes it's hard on Hug Sundays because he's sitting back there and he can smell everything coming up from from the kitchen. So if you have any paper to share, there's a basket back there in front of our beloved Dan, and there's all sorts of ways to send your contribution through the ethers. Just know that whatever you give, in whatever form you give it, we are so incredibly grateful.
I'm channeling Kali's power and Shakti divine. I feel a big boss energy deep inside. It's the rebirth of Sophia. She's come back alive. Hello, God, God, it's good to see you again. I've been searching for your wisdom in a world run by men. Yeah, I promise that I'm here to do whatever I can to help the world remember the power of a woman. The power of a woman. I got those Boy Scouts vibes, got that cosmic design. I am Sophia, resurrecting in to bring the light. I am Sophia, and I'm here to claim light. I am Sophia, you are Sophia, and we are all divine. I got those Boy Scouts vibes, got that cosmic design. I am Sophia, resurrecting in to bring the light. I got those Boy Scouts vibes, got that cosmic design. I am Sophia, resurrecting in to bring the light. I am Sophia, you are Sophia. I am Sophia, you are Sophia. I am Sophia, you are Sophia. We're all divine, here to bring the light. I am Sophia, I am Sophia. I am.
So here's what I love about today's music. We had the very gentle divine feminine, and then we had the divine feminine as the lioness, right? And it's all true. It's both and, right? So thank you guys, that was wonderful. So Jody, what's that little curly Q-y thingy? That's new. This is a new toy. It's wow. I love it. I'm seeing that's going to happen after hugs and handshakes from now on, right? That's, I love it when you guys bring in like really fun, groovy stuff like you did today. That was awesome. Yeah. So let's stand and share in our unity blessing. And please make sure that we include our friends online. Together, we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ in each and every one of you. And you too, Christopher.
Amen.
Oh, I'm sorry, the whole I am Sophia thing just got me totally. Thanks, Gwen, for keeping me on track here. Together, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now it's Jeannie.
I stand for love. I stand for peace. I stand for joy and for release. For what is beautiful and true. I stand for hope. I stand for you. You know our world is in great pain. She needs our love and care again. And there are those who fail to see what we have done and what we need. There is a cause for every act, and now there is no turning back. We burn a bridge, we bang a drum. It's time to rise, the time has come. If you're thinking it's not urgent, that we've got more time to kill, if I'm not the one who'll change things, then for heaven's sake, who will? So I will move and I will climb that mountain one step at a time. I won't be swayed, I will not stop until we've made it to the top, where we will stand for love and peace. We'll stand for joy and for release, for what is beautiful and true. I stand for hope, we'll stand for you, for what is beautiful and true. I stand for hope, I stand for you.
As the light of God we shine, as the love of God we embrace, as the power of God we stand in truth, as the presence of God we radiate love. Wherever we are the divine in expression, and all is well with our souls. Let's say that last part one more time. All is well with our souls. No matter what's going on out there, wholeness is found in here. Amen? Amen. All right, please come down and join us for whatever smells so really good downstairs and for the hug meeting. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye, our YouTube and Facebook friends. We love you so much. Thank you for joining us. Have a great week.